I'd like to talk a little bit before we get into development and the future of a smart growth in the Bay Area, how you came to development and sustainable development in particular. So let's start with you, Shannon.
Sure. I mean, at Tishman Speyer, we really want to play and develop in cities with high barriers to entry, the 24/7 cities that we really see as being the future on the planet. And to take that role seriously, to be involved in those communities, doing that from a thoughtful and sustainable perspective is critical to us. And so that commitment runs through our culture, and each of us, I run the Bay Area for Tishman Speyer, each of us around the world approaches that from an individual perspective, but it's throughout the firm's culture.
Gabe Metcalf, you've been doing and thinking about this a very long time. Was it, when did you first come to really think about sustainable development?
Well, I come to this in two ways. First is the simple fact that I love cities. The energy and the diversity and the excitement and the mix of all these people doing these crazy things you'll never even know a tiny fraction of. So I love cities, and that's the happy way I came to this. But I also came to this from, I think, what is a less happy angle, and that's that in my generation, we know that the problem of our time is climate change. And if we continue to build this country the way we have in a suburban format, there will be so much carbon in the atmosphere from that way of life that the seas will rise, and there will not be a San Francisco or a New York or a Los Angeles or a Seattle or a Shanghai or a London or a Cairo. The cities of the world on the coasts are facing an existential threat that we are utterly unprepared to deal with. And so there is a happy side to this. There's also an apocalyptic side to how I come to this.
Alex, Mehran, you grew up in the land business, third generation. How did you come to think about sustainability and land development?
Well, we've been a suburban developer since the early 50s, and in all our communities we've tried to mitigate some of the, we're not building in cities, but we've tried to mitigate some of the issues by creating locations with good land planning, a lot of sustainable initiatives, transit-oriented, and other things to have a really high-quality location which can mitigate some of the issues that most suburban locations suffer from. And so I think that's been a key element in all our developments.
So let's think about the Bay Area looking out, 1 million people, 600,000 homes. How's that going to happen? How is the Bay Area going to grow in a climate smart way so that those homes both are protected from what we know that's coming in terms of climate change and don't make the problem worse? Shannon?
Well, look, from our perspective, I think it's about trying to build those homes. Our focus as a developer, I think, is more in trying to deal with the cause of the problem and limiting the carbon more than it is how to deal with the symptom. And for us, that's really about building housing and jobs near each other and near transit. That if we can build 650 homes at the Infinity in downtown San Francisco, that's 650 homes that aren't built in Mountain Home or Antioch or Novato, and we don't have those people driving in their cars coming into the city. They're literally walking from the Infinity to their jobs in downtown. So while it is challenging economically, putting housing and jobs near each other and creating really vibrant 24/7 communities, I think is, from a developer's perspective, one of the most important things we can do. And we are, big believers in what is going on in San Francisco. And I think while San Francisco is fairly unique, the energy of what is happening today in San Francisco is remarkable from my perspective.